Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. Just going to be doing a handover video on this Elddis Autoquest. It's a 130 model. It's based on the 2.2 turbo diesel. In fact, it might be the 2 litre actually, sorry. The Peugeot Boxer chassis. It's the HDI and it is on a 5-speed manual. So, if I just start here under the bonnet and then I'll walk you through all the way around to the whole outside of the van, and then we'll get inside as well. Just wipe the camera off a little bit. Right, so on the left hand side under the bonnet we've got your battery itself, so that's the engine battery. All right, the leisure battery sits in the back end of the vehicle. The brake fluid attached to the servo just behind it there. Then got the power steering fluid here at the front. Your engine oil filling point is this one just here at the top of the engine, and your engine oil dipstick is the green topped one down here at the bottom. You've got an additional oil filling point just here, so if you want to fill up your oil, if you find it easier to fill it up from here, you can do. You've then got your engine coolant over here in this reservoir on the right, so you can see there at the perfect level. Air filter sits inside this box over here on the right hand side, and your washer fluid gets topped up through this little cap down here. You've got a couple of fuses and relays under this little box just here, a couple more under this one. And you've got your SV Tech, which is a company basically that changes the weights of vehicles on the logbooks and things to give you more payload. This one here, as you can see, is the actual chassis number and all that sort of stuff that you want to go off there, basically. So, onto the front near side, we've got your fuel filling point just there. That's your diesel filling point. Inside the passenger door, there's very rarely anything to actually show you. You've got a little bit of storage underneath the seat just here. You can lift this tray out if you want to. You've got some fuses. This is all Peugeot related stuff. You've got some fuses in this little locker here. Same on the driver's side. And you've also, next to the driver's side one, you've got the OBD reader in there as well. So if you ever had any fault codes come up on the dash or whatever, then that's where you would look for that. Not much else to show you on the passenger side, to be honest. The body on this actual van, to be honest, is actually really, really nice. There's not really much to point out at all. I have had to do a very small amount of paint work just on the driver's door. All along here, across the top, it had a pretty poor repair in the past, as in just smeared loads of paint over it, basically. So what I've done is I've just basically sanded it all back so it's nice and flat, and then resprayed from there. I am just going to give it a little flatten off and a polish just in a minute. But yeah, there you go. So, if I carry on from the near side now. So the first locker we get to is the gas locker, which is this one just down here. So, you've got space in here for 2 of these 6 kilo propane bottles if you want 2. Obviously at the moment I've just got the 1 in here. We always just give away 1 with each vehicle. So to turn the bottle on, we go anti-clockwise around to the left, and then to turn it off, we go all the way back down clockwise round to the right. You get 5 years on these pigtail hoses, and I have just replaced it as part of the HAB check. So 2024 date on that one, so you've got till 29 to replace that pigtail. All the rest of the stuff on the regulator itself back there is all just for our testing purposes, so you haven't got to do anything with that. Just leave that all alone. And then when you want to change over from this bottle to another one, you undo this nut just here, take it off the bottle, put it onto the new bottle, nip it up, and then you can use it as you were before. Next locker along is your leisure battery and your electric hookup. So the leisure battery, obviously this thing just here. The battery itself, I didn't have to change it, as I do with a lot of motorhomes when you do the habitation check. And I didn't have to change it because it's working really, really well. You have got a solar panel up on the roof of this van, and I think that's the main reason why it's been kept really nicely. So there's no battery drain on it. It's all working absolutely brilliantly. So I've left that alone. Probably the best thing to do. So yeah, leisure battery, really good access to that just here. You've then got your electric hookup point. The beauty with these lockers here is that you can actually have the hookup plugged into this and then actually run the cable down this little slot here and still completely close the locker. So you can completely lock this locker up with the hookup still attached. Something that not all motorhomes have at all. So it's a really nice thing to have. Right, so if I just pull the door to, down here to the left of the step, we've got your wastewater drain off point and the actual step itself, which comes out by hand. So that is your wastewater drain off point just there next to the step. You've also got, just before we get inside, you've got this little thing here, this little switch. And basically what the switch is like a 12-volt isolator for the whole back of the van. So if I was to turn this power off now, all the lights would turn off, everything 12-volt powered would be isolated. So that's basically the reason they put that there, is so that you can, when you get out of the van, you can just switch that isolator off, and then you know for a fact that your leisure battery's not got any battery drain on it. I'll just shut that door a sec, because I have got the heater on in there. Shut it properly. Right, so at the back of the van, you've got a 2-bike bike rack. You have got all the corresponding parts on this bike rack. So you've got the actual handle at the top that holds onto the bike, and the secondary handle just there as well for the second bike. You've got 2 vents just here at the back. These are both to do with your fridge. So if you've got the fridge lit up on gas, which I do right now, you should feel warm air coming out through this little vent here on the right. So that's basically a fail-safe way of knowing that it's definitely working as it should be. Now, I will show you how to use that when we get inside, and there are ways to check from inside as well, so just, you know, don't worry too much about that. But there you go. You have also got the tow bar at the back here as well, so you can see it's been, you know, you've got the sort of black plating on here just to sort of cover a few bits up and all that kind of thing. Unfortunately, they don't get treated very well when they're made from new, these bits of metal. You know, if you see any motorhome with a tow bar that's been on for a while, most of them look exactly like this. But yep, still working obviously as it should be, all chassis mounted, all that sort of stuff, with the electrics there as well, which is always handy. So onto the off side, there's not as much to show you on this side, but you have got a couple of things. So just here at the back, we have got the toilet. This is basically to do with your toilet. This is the flush fluid reservoir. Okay, so basically there's no real gauge for that really. It's not like a level meter inside here or anything, but essentially if you start running out of flush fluid, you just need to put a bit more into this little filling point just here. The cassette itself, the toilet cassette itself, is super easy. All you need to do is lift up on the little yellow tab down here, and then you'll be able to pull the cassette all the way out. So from there, all you need to know is that you twist this open and take this cap off to remove it, to empty it out. And when you're emptying it out, you need to hold down this little yellow button here at the back. Push it all the way back in again. After you've put a little bit of your blue fluid back inside here, give it a little swish around and push it all the way back in. And that's it. That is your toilet cassette back in and ready to use again. Next thing we get to is your Truma boiler vent. So this is essentially just another vent. You've got this cap just here, which I have removed just for the video, but this just basically slots straight over this, and it's a winter cover for the Truma boiler. So you need to make sure 100% that you've taken that cowl cover off before you start trying to use it on the inside. If you try and use it from the inside, essentially it just won't get enough air and it won't be able to light up. So yeah, just bear that in mind. This is an external TV aerial socket. Now, nowadays people don't really use those. It's just something that would have been fitted on the van from new. Whether or not you've got an aerial on the roof at the moment, I'm not 100%. I will have to have a little look inside. But yeah, there you go. So down here on the middle of the van, you've got your freshwater drain off point. So if you want to drain out your fresh water, you literally just unhook it from there and drain out your fresh water from that one. And then, as you might imagine, we have got, I'll just put that back together in a minute, your freshwater filling point. So you can take this little cap out just here, and that'll give you access to filling up your freshwater tank. So I'll just show you around the cab. So in the actual cab itself, you've got a pretty nice little spec actually. You've got a few things in here that you don't normally have. So you've got the electric adjusting mirrors, so you can do that from this one just here. So you just essentially, you know, twist this around to whichever mirror you want to move, and then move it around like a little joystick basically to get the mirror exactly where you want it. And then obviously you've got your electric windows there as well. So as I was saying earlier, you've got this little clip just here which pops out, and gives you access to your OBD reader. So if you do need to clear any codes or see any fault codes or anything like that, that's where you need to go for that. On the dash itself, you've got your indicators and flashing lights just there on here. So on the left hand stalk here, you've got your lights and your indicators. On the right, you've got your washers and wipers. I will just point out as well, just whilst we're on this sort of topic, when you go to start the engine, you will find, I'm not going to do it because I've got stuff on in the back end of the van, but basically when you put the ignition on and try and start the engine, you'll find that it won't do anything at all. The reason for that is that you won't have pressed the Sigma alarm fob. So you can see there, you've got a little red light flashing every now and again. And essentially that's just telling you that the alarm is set. Well, not the alarm, sorry, this is like an immobilizing key, all right? So essentially you need to press this button here before the engine will turn over. So as I say, if I just put the key in right now, turned it on, it wouldn't go, basically. So you need to make sure that you press the Sigma button there once before you try and start it up, and then it will go. When you press the button, it will go green on here, and that'll just basically be telling you that it's definitely set and good to go. Your bonnet release handle is just here above the clutch pedal. You've got your 5-speed manual gearbox just there. You've got the factory fitted Peugeot head unit up here, so this is just the standard one. You can replace these, obviously they literally just slide out. You put the little pins in and it'll slide out. So if you did want a more modern one, then obviously you can do that, it's no problem at all. They do actually make as well, I fitted for a customer a couple of months ago now, they do make because obviously this is a single din unit here, so this is a single din one. You can get the double din ones, which are the ones that you can have sort of touch screen and all that sort of stuff. But I actually fitted a snooper unit for somebody, which was a single din unit that went in just like that, and it had a screen that came off the front of it, and it was, you know, really nice big double din screen there. So it's a really nice thing to have. If you wanted something like that, then you know we could probably do that for you, or you could go somewhere for it, whatever. But there you go. So you got your hazard warning lights from there, and all of your heated controls down there. I don't need to run through those. That's very, very self-explanatory stuff. But that's it, really. That's about it for the cab. I'll just bring the camera back out a little bit. So, this being an Elddis 130, this has got a very, very popular standard sort of layout. This, I would say, is probably one of the most popular layouts that you can get, where you've got the overcab bed up there. All right, so this will slide forward and make into a really nice, good sized double bed up the top. You've also got the proper over-the-shoulder seat belts there. These are chassis-mounted seat belts, so they are not, you know, little tiny lap belts or anything like that. That's a proper seat belt system there. So you've got 4 seat belts, 4 driving seats. You've also got this settee here, which if you do lay it out properly and take this cushion off, you can actually get a nice big single bed there and just leave it as it is. So this is essentially a 5-berth motorhome. You might see it advertised as a 4/5 berth. That's because sometimes you might find that this is a bit short as a single bed, depending on who you are, obviously. But this will basically pull out from the middle here and make into a nice big double bed here on the side, big double bed on the top. So you've definitely got your 4-berth, but if you do need another, you know, another sleeping berth just here, then you have got that there. So as I mentioned on the outside, you have got the little isolator switch just down there, and as I say, that is your 12-volt isolator. So if I turn that off now, absolutely everything inside this van that works from the leisure battery is isolated. So all of the lights, any ignitions, any sockets that are 12-volt powered will just, you know, they just stop working immediately. So, oh yeah, you have got a TV aerial. So what I will probably do is start off at the sort of control panel area, which is up here. And not that there's a huge amount of run through, but I'll just start from there because that's kind of like the starting point, I suppose. So I'll just zoom in a little bit. So what we've got, this is one of the most simple control panels that you will ever find in any motorhome ever built, really. These are very, very simple, but also very reliable, we find. So essentially what you've got is you've got a little rocker switch on the right hand side which says aux and vehicle. So that is your sort of most important one there. That's your battery selector. Okay, so that is going to tell the van which battery to use to power the lights and anything else 12-volt powered. So if I went down to vehicle, for obvious reasons, that's something you don't really want to do, because you're going to then start drawing power from the vehicle battery. So that's a big no-no. You don't need to use that one unless you're in an absolute emergency and your leisure battery's gone flat. Okay, so if you say it's the middle of the night, your leisure battery is completely flat, but you desperately need a light on in the bathroom or a light on somewhere, then in that case, you can switch it down to vehicle, like so. And so now all of these lights in the back end of the vehicle are being powered by the engine battery. Okay. For the most part, you're going to want to leave that up on aux, because we want the leisure battery to be powering the stuff in the back end of the van, because that's what it's there for. Right, so the one in the middle is our freshwater gauge. So all the time that we've got a battery selected, we can look at the top gauge here and see the voltage. But if we want to check the water level, we check the bottom gauge and you'll see that it will move slightly. So we're on just about half a tank of fresh water. And the last one is our water pump switch. So this one just here, where it says pump, is your water pump switch. And you've also got a little pump run light here. So basically that'll light up as soon as the pump starts running. Now on that same topic, because to be honest, that is the whole control panel covered. On that same topic of the pump, you've got what's called a submersible pump in this particular van. And essentially all that means is that your pump in the vehicle for the water inside the van sits inside the water tank. So it's submersed in the water. Now, the reason that I'm telling you that, it's not really that important or that interesting, but it means that, I'll just pop that in there for a sec. It means that your water system doesn't really have a huge amount of pressure behind it all of the time. Other vehicles or other motorhomes will have what's called an inline pump, which means that it has to get up to full pressure before it will turn itself off. Whereas with this van, the pump will only ever run if you lift the tap up. So I don't know if you can hear that on the video or not, but basically the pump was just cutting in and out when I was lifting the tap. Reason for that is that all of the taps in the vehicle will have what's called a micro switch inside of it. So the actual tap will only turn on when the micro switch is engaged by putting the tap on. Okay, so again, the reason I'm telling you that is that you have to do something to purge the boiler through and make sure that the boiler is full of water before you start trying to light it up. So this is something that I always point out, and it doesn't matter what motorhome it is, I always run you through this. So the water pump, once you've got that turned on, you need to do something super simple. Literally come over to the tap here in the kitchen and draw the water through on the hot side of the tap. So the hot is always round to the left. Lift the tap up. And as long as we've got water in the boiler, the water should start coming through any moment. A little bit more pressure than that, please. Okay. So it's just popping out a last little bit of air out of there. Now on that same sort of point, down here under the seat, we have got your boiler drain off point, which is this little yellow tab down here. Okay, so the boiler drain off is essentially something that you need to do before winter. So you lift that tab upright. So down at the moment it's in the closed position, it's laying down flat. If I was to lift the tab upright, all of the water from inside the boiler would drain out onto the floor. So now that I know that that's down in the closed position and it will take water, I'm just literally going to allow this water to come through on the hot side of the tap. And as soon as it does, you'll see you'll see it, but we'll just allow that to happen just for a minute. So you can hear it's kind of just coughing out a lot of air at the moment. That's totally normal, but I'm just going to allow it to get up to pressure and just pump that air out. Essentially what's happening at the moment is it's filling up the boiler. So as soon as the boiler gets full, the water will start coming through this tap. So it shouldn't be long. You'll start to hear that the gurgling noise will stop when the boiler starts getting towards, nearly full. So again, I know it's a little bit of a boring thing to watch on the video, but this is quite a normal thing to have to do every time you want to use the boiler. But essentially, the reason that we're doing this now is that if I tried to light the boiler up before doing this and it was empty, then you're going to overheat the boiler. Basically, that's the idea behind it. So. Should be any minute now, I think. Unless we've run out of water, but I don't think we have. There we go. So just getting rid of the last little bit of air. And you'll know when it's all completely pressurised because there you go. So there's no more air coming out of that now. We've just got nice clean streaks of water. I can turn it to the cold side as well, just to get rid of any air in the cold side of the system. And now I can turn it off. So now every time I pull the tap here on the hot side, just got nice clear water coming through, no coughing, no spluttering, and that whole that whole thing we've just done there, that is how you pressurize the vehicle. That's how you get the boiler fill up with water, and that's how you know for a fact that you're ready to go and you're ready to light the boiler up. Okay, so I was a little bit long-winded. I probably should have purged it through a little bit before the video, but there you go. That is the whole process from start to finish. Now, once you've done that, you can obviously then go ahead and use your boiler. Now, you've got two options for the boiler. You've got your mains switch, so that is if you've got the electric hookup plugged in. That'll then start heating the water up via the electric hookup. If you don't have the hookup plugged in and you want to use it on the gas instead, you can use this one over here. So you can literally just go once to the right, like so. You hear a little click from down below you, and then the boiler will be lit. As long as you don't get a little red light come up alongside this green one, the boiler is on. And then all you need to do from there is select your temperature, which is basically just 30 all the way through to 70 on the front. So essentially, once you've set your temperature, the boiler will get the water to that desired temperature, and then it will turn itself off and on and off and on, and it will stay at that temperature all day long if you really want it to. So that is the idea behind that. So after about half an hour or so, that water will be hot coming through the taps. So there you go. That is how you use the boiler. That's the two switches for it there, and that's how you would purge the water through. Now up here you've just got the one last switch which just says bathroom light. Okay, that's just an isolator for the bathroom light, obviously. I'll leave that on for a minute actually, just so we can see in there when we get to it. So that's the boiler. Pretty straightforward stuff really. Once you've done that a couple of times, it's very, very easy. Right, so next thing I need to show you is the wardrobe here. So the wardrobe's quite important. So you've got a couple of things. You've got all of the original carpets in here. So if you want to lay those carpets back down again, you can do. You've also got all of your paperwork inside this brown folder. So that's for any appliances and any stuff in the back end of the motorhome, really. The majority of the paperwork is going to be in the office in our folder, but you have got a load of paperwork in there as well. TV aerial switches on with this little switch just here on the top left hand side, and then you've got your actual tilt and turn aerial just here. So you basically just undo this little bit at the top, and then you can push it up, move it around, change the angle of it on the top as well there, and essentially you'll get a green light come up on the signal finder if you've got a good signal. It's very, very easy. Most important thing in this little wardrobe here is that you've got the trip switches down here at the back. So essentially, just if you want to, if you plug the hookup cable in and you can't get any power to come into the van, first things first would be to check the hookup that you've actually plugged into. But then you can have a little look in here and make sure that all your trip switches are up. But yeah, normal sort of household stuff really. Is pretty straightforward. Right, below that we have got your space heater. So, called a space heater because it heats the space, basically. Now, essentially, this is a Trumatic space heater. This is an ultra heat, and the way that it works is that you've literally got an ignition switch here, which makes a hell of a racket. But you'll hear, if you go to any campsite, you'll hear that all the time because that's just how they work. and a gas valve to the left of it. Now that is literally all you've got on this heater. Okay, so it couldn't be any easier. So literally all you have to do is turn the little gas valve round to about 2 or 3 whilst you're pressing down on the little piezo ignition there. Once you've got the flame to light, you will physically be able to see it down here in the little peephole there. Once you've got it to light up, what you'll have basically is you'll have the little pilot flame going in there. So all you need to do is hold the pilot flame on for a minute, just hold the button down, allow that little chamber to warm up, okay? And then all you need to do is twist it around. You're twisting it around to about 7 or 8, and as long as that flame stays on once you've twisted it around, then you can leave it alone and it will just get to a certain temperature and turn itself on and off. Okay, now this is something that is very important to sort of keep on top of. In my opinion, these things get probably a bit too hot for what they're used for. They heat this van up beautifully. I mean, I've had this on for, well, since the start of the video, and this van is now warm. Okay, so it works absolutely brilliantly. And it might sound a bit stupid for me to say that it gets too hot, but they do get very, 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 very hot. So first of all, please be careful on it. Do not touch these things here once you've had this on for a minute. Not a good idea at all, okay? Not good. I mean, even just me doing that, it hurts, okay? So just please don't touch that. And most definitely don't hang anything over this to try and dry stuff off, because I can promise you will burn it, all right? So just bear that in mind. Other thing to say is that when you turn these heaters off, you will get a bit of a rush of heat coming out the front. So obviously it's already pumping out quite a bit of heat, but when you turn it off, it'll put even more out. So just be cautious of that as well. So I'm going to turn that off now because, well, I don't need it on anymore, basically. But yeah, that is it. It's a gas-only heater, and that's how you use it. It's super, super straightforward, very easy to use. The only thing I will say is you might find if it's quite a cold day. So today, I mean, it's about 3 degrees today. So it is a very cold day. And I'll be honest, when I first lit this up before I started the video, it did take me a few goes to get it to stay on. And what I mean by that is you'll always get the pilot flame to come on. All right, that's fine. The pilot flame will always come on nice and easy. But it's when you turn it around and release that valve, when it comes on with the main flame, that you might find that it will sort of struggle to stay on. So if that's the case, it's quite normal. It's not just this heater, it's all heaters like this. All you need to do in that situation is then just push that valve back down again. You'll see that the pilot flame on its own will come back on, nice and clean and, you know, easy. Just allow that pilot flame to warm that chamber up a little bit more before you turn it back around again, and then it should be fine. All right, that's just the process you got to do on all of these ultra heats. That's the industry standard heater, by the way, for all the motorhomes. Right, so you've got the cooker over here. So you've got a 4-burner hob at the top. You have no ignition on here, okay? So this is the sort of base spec of this particular cooker. Works brilliantly, but there's no ignition for it. So you need a lighter of some description to light any of these up, including the grill and the oven. So I would recommend like a long reach lighter. We have got them here in the shop, so you can get them here on the day if you want to. So that is your, I mean, honestly, I don't really run through these because it's literally just a case of oven, grill, and then your 4 burners. It's very, very straightforward stuff. If you need any more guidance on it, obviously you can have a little, you know, give us a shout. We'll show you, run you through stuff, but it's something that you'll find will come very naturally as exactly the same as a household one. The fridge is something that I do spend a little while explaining because they are something that you obviously probably wouldn't have used before. So this is a Dometic 3-way fridge. Okay, so you've got a main fridge area here, and then you've got a freezer compartment up top here as well. So when I say it's a 3-way fridge, what I mean is it works 3 different ways. That might be very obvious of me, but you've basically got 230 volt, which is your electric hookup. You've got 12 volt, which is your engine running, and your gas, which is the gas bottle. Now, the first things first, I'm going to show you that I've got it down on gas. You can see I've got this little selector here selected down on gas. So if I were to switch it off, you'll see in the little peephole down there now, you'll see absolutely nothing at all because there's no gas flame anymore. So to light it up, it's very similar to the space heater there. You essentially just need to turn this little valve round to gas and then push in on the valve and in on the piezo igniter. Okay, so push in on the valve and in on the piezo, and you can see there, nice blue flame came up, first click. I'm just going to leave that to warm up the chamber again, just like the heater, just holding that pilot flame on, and then I'll let go. And as long as that flame stays on when I've let go of the button there, you can leave it, and that is the fridge lit up on gas. Very, very easy, very straightforward. Okay, so that's how you would use that. So if you want to leave it on gas, you can just leave that on as long as you like, and that's it. If you've got the electric hookup plugged in, you would select 230 volt and just leave it on that one. You haven't got to do anything with this side at all to make it work on mains. It will just literally get cold on mains. That, you know, simple as that. And the 12 volt one, as I said, that is your engine running. So that is essentially the option that you would choose if you're driving along. You do need to make sure that you've already pre-cooled the fridge before you select the 12 volt, because essentially it just keeps the temperature inside the fridge whilst you drive. Okay, so you know, you need to pre-cool it before you leave, select 12 volt for when you're driving, and then select one of the other two again when you get to your campsite or wherever it is you're going. But that's it, really. That is your Automatic 3-way fridge. Easy peasy. You have got a travel catch on here, so close the fridge up and then push this to the right to engage the latch, and it will stop it from opening. So make sure that you push it back again. I have had to replace this as part of the hab check, but I will say that these are one of the most common things to have to fix. So please don't yank it if you find that it won't open. Don't yank it backwards, because you will just break this. These are very, very flimsy and not very well made, but yeah, there you go. So I'll just pop this little cover back on up here now. So the bathroom is the last thing to show you. You can see there you've got the light on now. It has got its own switch on it, so if you want to just have that switch on over there all the time and just use it from this one, that's up to you. If you want to, you know, be able to use it from up there, then obviously leave that switch turned on. Right, up above the mirror there, or up above here, the paper was coming away in that corner, probably just due to the fact that there's no heat coming into this room. So it's just, you know, over the years it's just stretched out a little bit, or tensed up maybe actually. So I've basically covered it with a nice little bit of plastic. I cut it all back, made sure it's all nice and flat. In fact, I didn't use plastic, sorry, that was not true. I've used a wallboard actually, like a bathroom wallboard. So it kind of matches, so it's the same as the ceiling. All right, so it runs up there and it looks nice. So it looks like it's coming down from the ceiling now. I've done it all the above the window, the mirror there as well, sorry. So it's all nice and neat. So the shower actually pulls out from here. So that comes out from there and then hooks in onto the little shower riser there. So that is literally the same tap as the sink. And then the toilet is, again, super simple. All you need to do to use the flush is push up and down on this thing here, and you'll see that the flush fluid will just basically start pumping its way around. Okay, I have topped this up as part of the hab check, so you haven't got to top this up for a while. But once you've put the flush fluid round, you go to the toilet, and then you would drain it out by pushing this little handle here to the right. So you push that to the right. You can see the flap opens up there, and that drains everything out into the cassette. Make sure that you then pull this back and then close the lid. If you don't pull that flap back, you'll find that you won't be able to take the cassette out from outside. It will be locked in position. So you do need to make sure that you turn that flap back. But yeah, that's about it really. So I'll just turn that bathroom light switch off from there. As I say, you can do it whichever way around you want to. Oh, the last thing actually is going to be the fact that you've got your solar controller in this little wardrobe. Now, you haven't got to do anything with this. So some people think you've got to press buttons and do all sorts of stuff. You haven't got to do anything with it at all. Okay, so this is literally just telling you that you've got full power. There is sunlight up on the roof, so the solar panel is working. But yeah, so you haven't got to do anything with it. That's just telling you that it is working and that it's on. Okay. And that's it. So I don't think there's anything I've missed out. if you think there is, or if you want anything else going over, just give us a shout. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.